Do you suppose there is such a place, Toto? There must be. It's not a place you can get to by a boat or a train. It's far, far away. Behind the moon, beyond the rain.
You're a wizard, Harry.
If I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been.
Way up high, and the dreams that you dream of once in a lullaby.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. I love you, Margie. I love you.
Won't you take me with you?
Why, of course I will.
Hooray! We're off to see a wizard.
Oh, well, you're not starting out very well.
Oh, I'll try. Really, I will.
To Oz?
To Oz.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 2 of One Life Productions' Roadmap to the Hero's Journey. Last week, we kicked it off with Sharon Lecter, and today we have 2 amazing guest speakers for you as well. But first, we want to start you off with explanations of the first 2 steps of the hero's journey, the ordinary world and the refusal of the call. Dr. Bill Janishek, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Frank. I cut you off for a second there. Hey, welcome back. So you guys were here last week. You heard Sharon Lecter. We kind of kicked this whole thing off with an overview of the hero's journey. What we want to do here is we want to break down the steps, and these are important to y'all because if you know the steps and you know where you're at on the journey and you know what to expect next, is you're going to be most likely to continue on with your journey, and that's the most important thing. What you'll learn when you're going through all these episodes with us is there's a step and there's a process of finding your dreams, fulfilling your vision, being the best version of yourself, or however you want to describe it to yourself. But the first 2 steps are really the most important ones that you have, because every journey is based on that first step. So in the hero's journey, as we're going through, we have the first step, and one is the call to adventure. And Joseph Campbell, when he came up with this whole hero's journey, explained it as that whisper inside. Some people are born with a dream or something that they can't get out of their head, something that's just an unrelenting thought that, I want to be a world traveler. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be a mother. I want to be a business owner, whatever it may be. that is your call to adventure. Some people have their adventure thrust upon them, and it's, you know, circumstances that they've never really thought about, but it's something that they have to do. And that's their call to adventure. That's their reason to step up. And whatever you may be doing, that's yours. And it's personal to everybody. But knowing that you're not alone when you have a dream, you have a vision for your life, and that's what it's meant to do. That's the whole reason that we exist, in my humble opinion, as a human being, is to have that light inside of you shine out bigger. You know, it starts as a seed, maybe when you're younger, maybe when you're older. We'll meet some of our guests that have come to their call to adventure later in life. But if you're watching this, it means that something about this resonates with you. There's something that you have. I know that we have a lot of entrepreneurs, and you have a vision for what's going on in your life, or what you want to make happen. That's perfectly normal. And you dream about it, and you'll study. You might be watching YouTube. You might have other programs just like this that you've watched to get inspiration or motivation or whatever you're doing, or pick up some skills so that you can actually achieve that. And that's normal. And I want you to continue that. That's going to be very important for you to understand, because the second step in the hero's journey is where the first place where people they'll stumble, they'll stop, they'll turn around. And if you know anything about fulfilling your wishes, your dreams, your visions, whatever it is that you got to keep going. But the second step in the hero's journey is actually a refusal of the call. You may have been, having the opportunity to, you've been thinking you want to be a world traveler, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to go on this wonderful trip, and you'll go, yeah, wait, I don't know. My schedule's not right, and I don't know if I have the clothes for it. I just don't, and it's a refusal of the call. But most people will, when they have the opportunity, because they're thinking about who they are or who they have been, they're not focused on who they need to become to make their dreams fulfilled. They'll stop and they'll come up with the same excuses. And we all do this. I'm not pointing fingers, because I'm included in this. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough knowledge. I'm not good enough yet. When I get, more skills, more knowledge, then I'll do it. So the first step is in the hero's journey, or the second step in the hero's journey, is refusing that call. So I want you to know that and embed that where you're at, because you're going to run across this, and you need to know throughout this whole program, but especially right now, that's normal. And we're going to go in with our guests and throughout all these episodes and explaining. You're going to see this theme over and over again. I want you to embed this, share this, come back to the next steps, and we can get it there. So those are the first two steps. Brother Joe, you want to take it from here and let everybody know who's coming on?
And thanks, everybody. I'm muted. But as long as I am the larger picture, I'm okay with it. So today, what I want to do is explain a little bit about the guests that are coming on. So in our previous episode, we learned about the overall journey. These steps here, as Bill so eloquently explained, is going to be what we're looking for in this story. But I want you to hear from two people that we're bringing up onto the stage so you can identify yourself in their story. Now, it may not be the exact story, but looking at the hero's journey, you should be able to find the symmetry in your life. And that's what we want to look at. So the two people we're bringing on to kick everything off here in the story time, we're dealing with Moe Rock, owner of the Los Angeles Tribune and a globally renowned content producer, author, and speaker. He boasts a network reaching 100+ million people across varied markets. He's an investor, an innovative brand strategist with 10+ years of experience. Moe adeptly blends expertise in digital transformation and consumer-driven marketing, making him a respected international thought leader. And the guy's got books to prove it. Okay, and then we got Ken Walls, founder of Client Solution Innovations. He's leveraged his technical expertise to enhance businesses, digital communications, since 2007. So he's a guy with some horsepower to get your business going. He's transforming personal tragedies into triumphs because he's the author of the #1 best-selling book, Walls of Wisdom. And he proudly consults with global business owners and celebrities. So what are we bringing on? We're bringing on the guys that are touching the world. So let's bring up, we got Moe Rock is here. Moe is currently speaking at a conference, but did step out because we needed him to come share with us. And we have Ken Walls as well in his studio overlooking the Valley of Napa, or whatever's behind him on the screen. But if you look at this, guys, I'm glad you guys were able to make time for us and share with us. And so I want to jump right into it because I want to be respectful of both of your time. Okay, we are putting this out, and I'm looking for your hero's journey. Your hero's journey that says here, and I want other people to be able to go, wow, that's exactly what I went through, or now I know, based on Bill explaining the steps, right? You'll know how to get yourself through the journey as opposed to feeling stuck where you're at. Okay, so I'm going to flip over. Moe Rock, can you share with us your hero's journey? Welcome. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Joe, for the introduction. It's a pleasure and privilege for me to be here. Apologies for being in a vehicle. I hope that the folks don't think that I'm here casually. But as you mentioned, there is an event going on right behind me, but we're here live and direct, and it's a pleasure to be here alongside you, Dr. Janishak, Frank, and of course, Ken Walls. This subject matter that the three of you are tackling is perhaps one of the most important subject matters for all humans on the face of the planet. But I'm going to say it's probably even more important to entrepreneurs and the conscious entrepreneurs. People that choose to go into a field or endeavor into a life of entrepreneurship, I believe, need to go over the idea of a hero's journey probably more regularly than we even realize. When professional athletes take the right amount of time to do their rehab, to go to the gym, to do their nutrition, nobody blinks. It's just part of what a professional athlete does. But how often do we see professional entrepreneurs do the same thing for their mind, for their mindset, for where they are in life? And so when I think about this idea of a hero's journey, and I look back on the last few years of my life, and I look back on all the different situations I've been in and circumstances I've been in, I'll say that the lessons that I've learned that have been beneficial for me have been regardless of what environments I put myself in. And I've put myself in compromising situations in business, and I've been misled before in business. And, to Bill's earlier point, sometimes we refuse the call. I remember a few years ago, I just launched my own marketing agency. And less than a year after I launched my own marketing agency, I was approached by somebody to join their company under false pretenses. And so I refused my call to continue building my business to go elsewhere where I was kind of outside of the realm of my natural habitat. As a business owner, as a leader, I put myself in a compromising position where I was not the end-all be-all of that situation. And so, but that was a rewarding part of my journey, Joe. And you and I, we shared that experience together, and I'm so grateful to have been part of that. And I'm so grateful for the people that allowed me to grow as a person. And so as I look back in life, I have nothing but gratitude. Whether it was that situation, most people know me today as the CEO of the Los Angeles Tribune, a national brand, and I'm so honored to be able to lead that. But once upon a time, I was in the music business, and there's still people that know me for what I did in that industry. And so I've had the pleasure of being able to be in a multitude of different environments and industries, and I'm friends with all four of you. And I'm grateful for you, Joe. My very first NLP class was actually thanks to you. My friendship with Dr. Bill is thanks to you introducing us. And Frank, I haven't I haven't gotten a chance to spend as much time with you over the years, but I've always admired you. And the relationship you have with Joe is, I think, a beautiful, inspirational relationship and an example of what brothers can be in life. And so, the ripple effects that the two of you are making are incredible. And so it's just, a pleasure for me to be here, spend some time with you guys. But the one thing I will say is consistently, I've always bet on myself, regardless, Joe. Whether there was evidence or not, I always would bet on myself. And to this day, I'm constantly betting on myself. Not from a narcissistic perspective, but I'm betting that I'm doing God's will. I'm betting that even though sometimes it doesn't look the way that I want it to look, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I have to check internally to check into the internal compass that I believe we all have. Am I fulfilled with life? Am I feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And if the answer is yes, then I keep going. If the answer is no, then I need to reevaluate. But we have to do an honest check-in. And what I've noticed, my friends, is that a lot of times people don't do honest check-ins. You see, a lot of times we find people that are very honest with everyone else in life, people that have integrity, but yet they forget one important part of being a man of integrity or woman of integrity, and that's being honest with yourself. And so what I've noticed is that there are a lot of people that delude themselves. There are a lot of people that trick themselves, fool themselves, lie to themselves. They're not on the journey they're supposed to be on. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but they fool themselves into believing they are. And that's why they're not as successful as they could, would, or should be. That's why they're not as fulfilled as they should be. That's why they're not helping as many people with their life as they should be. Because ultimately we're here to be of service to others and to be of value to others. And so those are just some opening thoughts. Again, I'm excited to see where this conversation goes. And thank you for having me again, Joe, Bill, and Frank.
Well, that's amazing. And I don't want to understate the influence that you've had, Moe. For everybody that doesn't know Moe, he's the CEO of the LA Tribune. He has multiple businesses, philanthropist, and you're just a good human being as well, because I've seen you time and time again going out and reaching out to help other people. But I want people to know one of your hero's journey is that it's how you rebuilt the LA Tribune. That's been, how old is the LA Tribune? 140 years old. Well-known publication, media company, where you've taken it out of, you've dusted off this brand, you bought the company, you put in your heart and soul through that, and rebranded that into a powerhouse that it hasn't seen in years, as far as being compared with the other media. But it's now a leading publication that allows both sides of a political arena to be heard, and so you can have those conversations. So my question to you is, that had to be a hero's journey in itself when you decided, I got to do this thing. How did that manifest itself?
So sometimes first of all, I appreciate when life gives an opportunity. When I was in the music industry as a teenager, I had an opportunity and I went for it. And, it took me a while to be able to really reinvent phase 2 of my life. And I spent, a few years doing various different things to various different levels of success, consistently working on myself. Joe and I, we were part of a software company together years ago, which was a big part of both of our respective journeys, at least from an entertainment standpoint. We were very well entertained. And so what I will say, though, Bill, is that when it came to the reason I preface it that way is that when you see an opportunity, or I'll use a football metaphor, if you're a running back and you see a hole, you got to go as fast as you can and just focus on getting to the end zone. And so every once in a while in life, we see something, an opportunity, or we're presented with a situation where things just click. And we know that this is what we're here to do. And the last 3 years, I have gone nonstop. I have not taken a break in 3 fucking years. So what I do know is that I have outworked 99% of people in this world. And what I also know is that thanks to God's grace, I am in a position where I can help uplift my species, right? And I believe we're in a world today where news companies have done more disservice than service, where news companies have done more disempowerment than empowerment. You know, Bill, last week I was in St. George, Utah, giving a TED Talk on this very specific subject matter, where the title of my TED Talk, coming out soon, is Reimagining Journalism, the Power of Positive Stories. And in doing research of the TED Talk, what my team and I discovered is that for every one story that a news company puts out that is an inspirational, solutions-based story, there are at least 17 that are not. And so I know what my purpose is on this planet. My purpose is to redefine news and media companies. And I can say it out loud and say it proud. And so for those watching, my encouragement to them is to know your purpose, to define it, to declare it, to write it down on a piece of paper. When you take something from the mind and you write it down on a piece of paper, you've now taken, it's actually a spiritual experience, because what you've done is you've taken the invisible and you've made it visible. And so I wrote down what my mission and vision was for the Los Angeles Tribune years ago. And what people are now witnessing is that vision and mission actually becoming reality. And it's a spiritual experience. It's part of my hero's journey. And so long as I stay grateful, stay humble, appreciate God, appreciate every opportunity, and stay focused on helping other people, I know that this journey will continue. The reason people fall short of really being able to achieve what they want to achieve is a lot of times they get a little success and they get a little they get off course. They start thinking that it's no longer about we, it's about me. And so that's something that I'm very conscious of, is never making it about me, making it about we. You know, Joe and I were part of a company that had potential to really revolutionize an industry. But unfortunately, the person at the helm made it about his own personal emotional needs, as opposed to making it about how can we make the world a better place.
Well, you know, that's really interesting on how you've done that, because I see that in myself. When you have a thought, and that's basically what your call to adventure is. It's your thought. It's when you're thrust in, it's the direction that you take it. You know, in the Bible, I call that the word became flesh and dwelt among us. That when the invisible becomes visible. And I think the difference with when we're having a journey, there's an end point when your thoughts become real. And you've done this time and time again, and it shows the integrity that you have in that. So for everybody listening, I want you guys to take Moe's story and take the examples that he's lived time and time again, and kind of see yourself in his story, because you're living through something right now, and these are the steps that you're going to take. So Moe, I want to thank you for coming out. It's a great share. I mean, you're going to motivate and inspire people with your stories. I appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Moe. Ken Walls, can you please share with us your hero's journey?
Well, I've always wanted to start off with the Steve Martin line, but I'm not going to.
Yes, and we all cannot do that anymore.
Right.
Every podcast interview, I stop and I go, I was bored, and then I just stop.
So I mean, you know, look, I've put a lot of thought into what I was going to say. My hero's journey starts as in a very poor family that I was raised in Northwest Ohio. And I honestly, at 7 years old, I decided I was tired of wearing clothes to school that my mother bought at a like hand-me-down store or whatever. And yes, I gotta turn those comments off. Holy crap. Anyway, so I at 7 years old, I decided I was going to go out door to door and start asking people to let me mow their lawn or shovel snow in Ohio. You guys in California don't know anything about that, but
No,
shovel snow, and they would
I've
pay
seen it
you
on the
money
Weather
to do
Channel.
that. What?
Yeah, I've seen it on the Weather Channel.
Right,
Yes.
right. So I went out to just start making money so I could buy. I wanted to fit in with the popular kids at school, and my mom couldn't afford to buy the clothes that would make me fit in. So I went out and earned it on my own. And it was a crazy house that I grew up in, and as a result, I saw a lot of behavior of drinking and drugs and all kinds of stuff like that. And so that's the path I started down. And by the time I was 12 years old, I was arrested for my very first time. And it had to do with my alcoholism and alcoholic behavior. And I ended up, I don't know, by the age of 13, 14 years old, I'm pretty sure I was a full-blown alcoholic. And that went on for many years till I was 34 years old. And I hit a bottom after building a multi-million-dollar company in my 20s and running several others off and on. I hit a bottom. I was living in Seattle in my car. It's a long story I won't go into, but I was in Seattle, living in my car, and I just hit this bottom. And I remember reaching out to my sister, who is wealthy and a doctor, and I called her and I said, I can't live like this anymore. There's something wrong with my thinking. And she goes, well, come back here, and I have a friend you can go talk to that's a nurse. And I said, okay. So I go back to Ohio. I drive across the country, stopping every night to drink because, DTs are a real thing. And at this point in my life, I was 34, and that was when I was 31 or 2 at that point. And I literally would wake up in the middle of the night shaking, just shaking, and I'd have to go to the freezer and get my bottle of Grey Goose or whatever and chug it just to stop the trembling in my body. And she tricked me into going to a what's it called, an intervention. And basically my whole family said, you're either going to check into treatment here and get help, or we're done with you and you're welcome to go off on your own and drink yourself to death. And so I got sober 6 months, ended up drinking again, went a year and a half, became jaundice, was bloated. Literally, it was killing me. And I had this massive spiritual awakening. I don't know how else to explain it, but I had an awakening, and I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And from the outside looking in, I had 2 Mercedes, I had the nice house, I had the business, I was the CEO, and everybody really kind of thought I had it together. And on the inside, I literally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, in every way, I was just dying. And this guy sits down next to me. This is all in the book that you talked about. But this guy sits down next to me at the bar, and August the 10th of 2002, and he says, "Hey, I put in my notice. I can start working for you in 2 weeks." And I looked at him like, "What in the hell are you talking about, dude? I'm not hiring. We're downsizing right now." He goes, "You told me 2 nights ago to put in my notice you were going to hire me as your head technician for the company I own." And I said, "No, I did not." And he said, "You did." And I said, "No, I didn't. I didn't say that." And he goes, "You know what? You need to go get some help, dude. Everybody around here knows you're nothing but a worthless drunk." And I'm telling you, it was like, I was sitting in this bar restaurant, very upper class. It was in Muirfield Village, which is part of where Jack Nicklaus's golf course is. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I felt like all the lights turned up super bright. Everybody in the place got really quiet and spotlights hit me. I was like, and that's not what happened, but that's what it felt like. And I'm like, oh my God, you did not just say that. And he got up and walked out and he was pissed off. And I'm like, this didn't just happen. I'm like, I had half a beer sitting on the bar and I paid my tab and I got up and I walked out and I went. At this point, my ex had thrown me out. So I'm sitting, I go to my hotel room and something happened. I decided the next night to go to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous and I got sober. And by the grace of God and a lot of hard work, I've been sober 21 years now. And along the way, I've had some ups and downs. I've had some major ups and downs, but I started doing what I started doing at 11 years old when I got my very first computer, which was a Commodore 64C for those old guys watching. I learned how to program myself and I started in 2002 when I got sober. I started doing what I really love, and that's graphic design and web development and web application engineering stuff. And so that's that. I still do that today, but I've written a bunch of books. I've got a little podcast thing going now and some yeah, my life is way different. I'll just say that, and much better.
Well, you know what? It's an amazing story that you're sharing with us, because so many people, and again, the people that are listening are coming out and maybe they are not trying to start a business. Maybe they're not trying to, go to the Olympics. Maybe they're just trying to freaking get their life together. And the internal call sometimes is the burning one. Everybody tries to put out this picture of themselves for the public. And I mean, Ken, you've interviewed probably thousands of entrepreneurs, celebrities, sports, really well-known people.
Yeah.
And when you turn off the mic, how many of them, they're dying on the inside because they're not living their life or their story. It was kind of like when Moe was talking earlier about it's that internal thing. You've got to make sure that you're true to yourself. Yeah. And when was the moment? There had to be a moment with you. You've gone through, you were outside successful. If somebody were looking on and saw your two Mercedes and everything else going on, and that, when was the first time when you felt proud of yourself? Like you go like, I freaking got this. I did this. When you said it to yourself.
When I got sober and I'm sitting in these rooms, these meetings, I mean, and I'm not breaking this guy's anonymity. He's very public about it, but Eric Clapton was going to the meetings I was going to. And I'm sitting there going, how's a guy worth $600 million? And this, I'm new, right? In sobriety. So I just thought that it was, I could never call myself an alcoholic because I felt like that's a bum sleeping under a bridge. That's not me. I'm a CEO, damn it. And I look at people like him and so many other people I've met along the way. I think that my real moment of, it was a moment that I feel like God showed me his face. Like I saw that there's this real entity outside of me that is it exists. And it was the first time I think in my life. And it was when I started really putting in the work in recovery, getting honest with myself. Moe touched on that a little bit ago. I see so many people in the world, not just on social media, but in the world, that are running some kind of BS game, trying to convince people that there's something that they're not, because of what reason, I don't know. I've been there, I've done it, but since I got sober, I'm like, look, if I'm not honest, I'm going to drink again. If I drink again, I'm probably going to die very quickly thereafter. So, my sobriety depends on it. So the moment that I probably had that first little tiny minuscule of there's hope for me was when I started making amends, and I sent my mother an email that hadn't talked to me in at least 6 months, and making amends, and she said, "I love you. You're my son, and I'll always forgive you, and I hope you continue on this journey of staying sober and getting your life together." So, I think that was the first moment I felt real, like, okay, there's hope for me. And if I just keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving in the right direction and being honest, then I can, continue to build on those little hopes, and they'll pile up into bigger things. And they have.
What was the moment, like the outcome? What was giving you the strength inside? So you were running away from something. Obviously, you've hit the rock bottom. Do you know what you were running to, or what gave you the strength that made you want to do that rather than just throw up your hands and say, screw this?
I have no idea. I really, truly do not.
You did know. What do you think it would be?
You did know.
That's nice. That's nice. I love that. Nice close, Bill. So I don't know. I don't know what it was. I didn't want to live. I'll tell you, I did not want to live, but there was this thing inside of me that also made me not want to die. And I don't know if I was, I hear people talk about the ego being a bad thing, that the ego is edging God out, is an acronym for edging God out. And I can tell you that when I got the moment that guy said, "You're nothing but a worthless drunk," my ego went into overdrive. Like, I was like, we can't have that. No, so that's that. My ego, I believe, saved my life. So I really don't know what's, eventually I had these 2 beautiful daughters, and I always wanted my own family and children, but that's what keeps me going now is my kids.
Well, I think, Ken, one of the things that I think is great is that you've captured the hero's journey in a book, and how incredibly brave it is to share that information with others, and how vulnerable you can be in there. What inspired you to do something like that, to take this very personal and painful situation that you've gone through, and for most people, let's not speak of it, and for you to put it out and literally say, "Here's my business, everyone, and I hope it helps you." What drove?
But he can't say ego, Frank. He can't say ego again. That was the last question. Okay.
It was honestly, I was watching a live stream of Grant Cardone, and I eventually became friends with Grant, and he became a client of mine. I was a client of his, but I still am a client of his, but he was talking about it. Like, you got to write a book, man. You got to write a book. If you don't put your message out there, you're stealing from the world. And it made sense to me in that moment. And I just decided, you know what? I'm writing a book, and I'm going to do it fast. I did it in 10 days. I had the book done before AI. I had the book done in 10 days and ready to publish. And I also felt like it was something I needed to do, because I was going through a bunch of financial stuff. And I thought, you know what, this is the ticket. If I just get my message out there, I can help a lot of people. And it puts me on a different level, as far as I'm a published author. And when I wrote the book, I did not care if anybody ever bought it. While I was writing it. And once I finished it and I opened it and I started reading my words for the first time ever in a book, I was like, oh my God, I literally teared up. And I'm like, okay, now I want to sell the book. I want people, and I priced it really, really inexpensively. So, it's just, I don't know if that answered the question or not, but I just wanted to get my message out there and not steal from the world anymore.
Well, I think in writing a book in 10 days tells you something, that it was in there waiting to get out. And you couldn't wait to share that. And I think that kind of the calling point that you said in there is that it's going to help others. Yeah. Like, you know, by being vulnerable, by exposing your pain and saying you're not perfect, which is hard for all of us if you are ego driven.
I've never said that.
Right? That's in there. That to have that calling and to answer it and say, here, I'm going to write it. And literally it poured out of you to the point that it was on, you know, in 10 days is pretty insane in there. So congratulations to that. And I think that is a great example of hearing that call and being challenged. It wasn't something that you were necessarily drawn to, right? Grant pushed the button and he said, here, I challenge you to do this. And then you answered that call and it just came out.
Well, I want to watch one thing too. I want to jump in here as we're talking about the steps in the hero's journey. And as everybody will go through the other episodes, that's exactly what the step. There's a meeting of a mentor. There's a changing of where you're moving. There's a change of environment. There's things that you have to learn in that environment. And there's going inside yourself again and meeting those limiting beliefs, the person that says you're not good enough, the old guy that was the drunk that is now the successful, well-known entrepreneur, and what it looks like. And ultimately, when we were doing things, it's to go out and help others. It's like Grant said, by you playing small, you're not doing the world any favors. You're not doing your kids any favor. You're not doing your fans any favor. You're not doing us any favors, and you owe us a favor.
Right.
So there you go. Thanks a lot. Both of you guys are just awesome. I really appreciate you coming out and kicking this thing off.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. I wanted to invite everyone to join us for the after party. If you'd like to discuss tonight's episodes and to hear some of your stories as well. For those of you that want to know more about our speakers for Ken and Moe, please go to heroesjourneylive.com. And they'll have under the guest speaker section, there'll be bios for everybody. You can click on there, find out how to reach them individually as well. So next week, we are going to hit the next step of the hero's journey, and we're going to be meeting the mentor. So we look forward to that episode, and we invite you guys all to join us. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.